Welcome to the ATPA Jasper Pulling Series. This evening we are in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee, home of some of the best competition of the South. 20-year-old Brandy Essery will make the second pull of her career. We'll see 17-year-old Paul Sullivan, four-wheel driver Jim Lyons in Stitches, Joe Etter's four-engine super-modified Chevy Thunder, the Eads family's Indiana Rascal in the 7700 Superstock class. All this and more next on Speed Vision. Welcome to the Jasper Pulling Series. This is our very first in truck and tractor pulling, coming to you today from the Volunteer Nationals in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee, just south of Nashville. Hello, everyone. I'm Claude Wood. Our expert analyst for the program will be Tom McConnell. Tom, a lot of champions coming back from last year.
Oh, definitely, Claude. And they got good reason to. Jasper Engines and Transmissions, Synergen Racing Oil, they're putting up over $150,000 in year-end points money, making it the highest points payout for the tractor pulling sport in the nation. And we've also added some other unique classes this year. We've added the 10,000 Pro Stock tractors, which you'll see on some other shows, and we've also added something you'll see here tonight, the 7,200 super modified tractors. And they're allowed to run up to 4 supercharged engines. It's going to be a wild year.
Sure is. Down in the pits will be Brett Kepner. Now, Brett, other than standard tractors, there are a lot of different modifications down there.
Now, this sport is really unique in all of motorsports. Let's face it, the beauty of the sport of pulling is that wherever you have dirt, you can conduct an event. But the real action, even though these vehicles are so spectacular to watch, the real action is taking place in the minds of every driver and every crew chief. This is a game of strategy. It's the closest things to motorsports chess that you'll find anywhere in the entire spectrum of racing. Now, the one thing you have to look forward to is the fact that each and every one of these events will be completely different because everywhere you go, the consistency and content of dirt is different. Therefore, it's a whole new racetrack every time that they have to work on.
Now, if you've never been to a truck or tractor pull, here's just a little smidgen of what you have to look forward to. Workers have been busy most of the day prepping the track. With a look now at its condition, here's Brett Kepner.
Well, Claude, the condition of the racetrack right now is of tremendous concern to the drivers getting ready for this very first class, and for a variety of reasons. This clay that was brought into this unique purpose-built stadium was indeed dry when it arrived here at Lawrenceburg, but now is pretty wet. They spent a lot of time today putting in lime, mixing it up with this clay, running all kinds of equipment over to try and get it to dry out. It's about halfway there, but the drivers right now are in agreement that halfway there is good. It's very tacky, very, very cushionable right now. You can almost feel like you're standing on a sponge when you're standing on it. But they believe that it will dry out as the night goes on. Now, what's interesting is half the drivers in half the classes say that they believe it will be best to run early in each class. Surprisingly, another 50% say that they think it's going to be good to run late. It's the first time we've ever seen a field totally split in what they think is going to be the right time to run. So this will turn into a driver's race real quick.
Thank you, Brett. Tom, one thing you can count on for sure at a lot of these truck and tractor pulls, a lot of good food nearby.
Oh, always, always. Coming up next is Kenneth Hale with the Night Trouble tractor out of Tullahoma, Tennessee.
And last year, he was pretty much on top as far as the point standings were concerned.
Well, actually, it was 1996 was when he was the point champion. Last year, he was runner-up in the Jasper Pulling Series. This is a stout tractor. Now, Ken will not be able to run all the pulls this year. The farm is going to keep him busy, but the ones down south, he is going to be killers.
And he has a great pull going, pretty much straight and true, 266 feet.
That'll be the distance to beat, so it'll be interesting to see if that will hold up with the track conditions that we have. That was something Brett was talking about earlier, Claude, thinking that a lot of the drivers would like to go early. On the line now is Andy Bottrell, the first time he has ever sat in the seat of a super stock tractor. Oh, Claude, did you see that?
He was fighting it just a little bit, but for the first time, not a bad pull. But he is disqualified out of bounds as we go to the Synergen Oil replay.
As you can see right there, Claude touches the chalk line with the tractor. Now, we don't care what the sled does, but if that tractor touches the white line, you're disqualified. And unfortunately, Andy Bottrell is out of there. Usually, though, Roger Early's driving the machine. Right now, we have Mike Hoppy on the line out of Evansville, Indiana.
And this is John Deere time.
Now, first look at a John Deere tonight, and it's like having some turbocharger problems with the Deere.
192 feet for Mike Hoppy. This portion of our program brought to you by Jasper Engines and Transmissions, the nation's leader in the remanufactured engines and transmissions. And by Synergen, the world's fastest oil. And by Valco of Cincinnati, with a wide selection of products available at local truck stops. Stay with us. The 7700 Superstock Tractors continue. Welcome back to Rotary Park in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee. Claude Wood along with Tom McConnell today. And coming up right now, more tractor pulling. Looks like a lot of smoke, but Tom, this is not a diesel tractor.
That's right. This is an alcohol-powered Superstock tractor. Our first look at the spark plugs as opposed to the diesel. Jeff Hurt is running great with that running bear machine, but he shuts down, didn't beat Kenneth Hale.
253 feet for Mr. Hurt. Up next, this is the man.
That's right. Last year, he was your 5,700-pound Superstock, lightweight Superstock champion. This being the first pull of the year, it's interesting to see how he's going to do. He was second in the 7-points class last year. Leroy Mason having a heck of a run.
And he is going almost out the back door. 264 feet for Leroy Mason. And Tom, as we go to the Synergen Oil replay, Leroy usually stays straight up in the air.
Yeah, but this time he's up and down. Maybe that's the reason he didn't get Kenneth Hale. Let's go with Brett Kepner. He's going to talk to Leroy Mason.
It's hard to believe that missed. It sure looked. It was within 1.5 foot of Hale.
Yeah, it was a good hook. You just got to really finesse it out of the hole. But we're tickled with that. It's a brand new engine. That was the first pass we've ever put on it.
Well, hey, this is the first pass of the year for everybody in ATPA. Now, what did you learn about that track for the next class that you're going to run? I mean, it's an unusual one.
Yeah, it's tricky out of the hole. You really got to watch what you're doing, driver out of the hole.
How about in the top end?
You better have her hammered when you come past 75-foot mark, because she's going to load you in a hurry.
Backing up to get hooked is Jay Fuqua. This is the Tennessee track.
Jay is a former National Farm Machinery Show winner. In fact, 2-time National Farm Machinery Show winner. He is killer down south. Let's see what the Tennessee tracks can do.
Some problems, but looks like he has picked up some more traction. He's got a good run going, Tom.
Oh, he is flying that thing out. We might have us a new leader. No, 261.11. Still, nobody has been able to displace Kenneth Hale.
And this is Ron Eads on the Indiana Rascal. He is the defending 7700 Superstock champion. And this year, Tom, he's teaching his nephew, Tad, the sport.
Well, Tad definitely learned it. In fact, this winter, Tad won the big one this past February. He won the farm show. Is he going to win Lawrenceburg? No, 257-3. Kenny Hale still in the lead. Let's take a look now at another Alice Chalmers. The Kemper brothers, Logan Kemper, doing the driving on the Lino Alice machine.
Logan and his brother Charles taking turns. Tom, this is also an alcohol-powered machine. A little rough start right there.
Well, Leroy Mason was saying if you can get it past 75, it's going to load you quick, and it looks like it's definitely loading the Lino Alice pretty quick there.
But only 240 feet will not get the job done. And, Tom, here comes Mark Gettinger. He calls his tractor up and at him. Good positive attitude.
So this is one of the strongest John Deere diesel tractors ever built. And last year at the Jasper World Finals, this tractor finished third. Let's see if he can finish first here tonight. First look at a John Deere, and the John Deere people are getting ecstatic.
He came close to going out of bounds. 244 feet, not quite enough.
That's exactly right. Well, let's check out another guy we haven't seen the Jasper Pulling Series in some time. This is the team out of Waverly, Tennessee, Robin and Joe Blue. Robin doing the driving. Back in 1987, they were number 3 in the nation. Let's see what they could do here in 1998.
And true to form, Tom, he had a jumpy start right there. Whoa, lots of smoke underneath.
Having trouble there, 2:19 and 9. Not what the Mountain Man thought. Oh, man, look at the oil coming out of that thing. It's going to go back to the repair shop for a little bit.
As we take a look at the Synergen Oil replay, Tom, typical, he started out with a lot of bounce on the beginning, and then he's all over the place.
Brett Kepner's now down with Robin Blue.
Let's just hope that this is not an indication of your season.
No, it shouldn't. We haven't had really a whole lot of problems the last couple of years, but the motor's had 3 years on it, so something may go.
Now, did it sling rods? Can you tell us by looking at a lot of oil?
No, it looks like it blew a head valve cover gasket. When it does that, normally it burns the piston, pressurizes the bottom end. So
that blows all the gaskets out.
Right.
And with all those turbos, that's bound to happen.
That's right.
Well, for a guy that just blew an engine, Claude, he seems to be in a pretty good mood.
He had a pretty good attitude. I think I would have had some worse feelings from that. That's got to be a lot of money to fix.
Well, here's our last chance for an Alice Chalmers to win this event. 4 turbochargers under the hood of the circuit breaker. Claude, he's flying.
He can take it right on to the end of the track. Oh, he had to shut it down. 268 feet.
He's a new leader. He just beat Kenneth Hale.
As the crowd shows its reaction, let's go down to Brett Kepner.
Alice Chalmers in the lead.
Yeah, you can't count them orange ones out, buddy.
Now what? You pulled over to the right-hand side, and that's where everybody eventually was breaking the tires loose at 200 foot. Why did you get through it?
Right. I slipped her a little longer out of the hole. I tried not to break the tires loose. They still broke loose. But we adjusted the air pressure right there at the last minute, took advantage of the situation, and it worked for us.
And here comes Mark Wiederholt out of Clarksville, Ohio. His tractor is called Thumper.
Mark is looking for his first ever ATPA win. Let's see if this will be the pull to do it. Front end's up, slowing down, but wait a minute. He's still making a good run. He could get up there in the hunt.
Oh, so close, but 246 feet, just a little short.
Not going to do it. One more tractor left to go. Nick Hicks, Seymour, Tennessee with the I-League. Look at the big lips on the side of that tractor. I love it.
Big, powerful diesel as the black smoke comes up, and he's running pretty straight. Got a good run going.
I don't know if he can do it. You see the orange toe? Not going to do it. Going to come up short, 254, 3.5 inches. So that means the winner will go to the Alice Chalmers of Dennis Morlock. Kenneth Hale with the IH will finish second. Leroy Mason, Jay Fugway, all running the big red. Coming up next, ATPA action continues with the 7200 Super Modified.
Of the fans picking up some nice ATPA souvenirs here today. Coming up now, the 7200 Super Modified Tractors. Here's Brett.
Well, Claude, the Super Modified Tractor class is one that inspires sheer awe in the minds of anybody witnessing the division. Whether you're right here at the fairgrounds or sitting at home, to look at these side-by-side 4 Chevrolet engines, all transferring power into a common rear end, you have to wonder, how can it even be done? Well, one man who knows that better than just about anybody is one of the premier chassis experts in this particular class, chassis builder Joe Ader. Now, Joe, like I said, the layman looks at something like this and says, this is nuts. This can't even happen. Can you explain in layman's terms how you get 2,500 horsepower from each one of these things to back to a rear end?
Yeah, basically what we got here is we got 4 big block Chevrolets producing about 6,000 horse. And what it does is it goes, these 4 motors are crank to crank, and the horsepower is transferred back to a crossbox, back to a single shaft, straight back into what they call a reverser, which is just forward and reverse, and that goes into a rear end, out to a set of planetaries, and down to the ground.
Okay, so the engines on the outboard side are actually connected, almost sharing a crankshaft.
Yes, it's a solid coupler in between. It's crank to crank, and when you start a pair of engines, they both start together, and these 2 on this side are started by clutches.
So realistically, each side is kind of a Chevy V16.
Yes, that's basically all it is.
Okay, now when we get back to the point where we can see the 2 pseudo drive shafts here combined, how does it get down to the center drive shaft?
Basically what that is a series of gears, 5 gears that connect everything from the side engines all into one gear in the center.
So it's just gear, no chain and no space between them?
Nope, just custom built gears by Banner Machine. They basically build these cross boxes and a lot of competitors, use these cross boxes throughout the country.
While Joe Ader's innovations are many, one of the most unique aspects of this substantially wide-tracked 4-engine tractor are those little tiny Cessna aircraft front tires. Now, we've seen them in motorsports before, most notably drag racing, but in the case of tractor pulling, it allows Joe to keep those front motors well out over towards the front axle, and that way he doesn't have to run that much more weight on the front end to keep the front end down. No matter how you look at it, the transfer of power in these incredible machines is sheer mechanical genius, and it's something you'll only see in this American of sports.
And, Tom, these things are so complicated, but really a crowd pleaser.
Oh, the crowd absolutely loves them. I mean, they're it's the equivalent of top fuel at a drag race. And, I mean, you could just feel the thunder out of these things. It just literally shakes the ground that you're walking on. Joe Eder is flying out first puller, and full pull, I bet you anything, Claude, they're going to reset the sled on him.
Either way, the crowd really appreciates that pull. Right now, let's go to Brett.
Well, something tells me your first pull for the new ATPA season is probably going to be reweighed.
Yeah, they're probably going to have to put some weight on that. It's the first 75 feet's really tough down there, and it's really hard to judge a sled. And, we come out about 50 feet, and, boy, we were hooked and really trucking. So they'll probably reset it.
Right now, we have Lyndon Satterfield with the shake, rattle, and roll.
And we just got the word this is the first official puller in the class, Claude. They have reset the sled. And did you see the throttle hand on Landon? He went out about 50 foot, like Joe said. Then his right hand hammers that throttle. Wow.
And what a difference, 205 feet after the sled has been reset. Let's go to the Synergen Oil replay, Tom.
Well, he had a good run, but he's only running 3 V8s, and he's got to compete with 4 V8s. So, good run for what he's got.
Lyndon, it's hard to guess if the sled should be reweighed after that or not. Did you accept it, or are you going to wait and let them decide?
I accepted because it's the first run out for us today. Last week we tore up, so we're just trying it out, make sure it's going to be all right.
At this point, you're pretty much happy because it made it at least as far as it did. Didn't hurt anything.
That's a good run.
And here comes Gary Diekmann from Toledo, Ohio. Tom, we'll see him a lot this year.
Oh, definitely, and he has got a real unique tractor. Listen to it for just a second, Claude. That's the sound of 2 centrifugal supercharged V12 Allison aircraft engine. It's incredible. 251 and 9. That'll be the distance to beat.
And once again, here comes Joe Eder with the Chevy Thunder. And Tom, you can see a lot of the fans over there holding their ears. These things are incredibly loud.
Oh, to say the least. Like I was telling you earlier, you ever been to a top fuel IHRA drag race? It's about the same noise and feeling factor. Look at Eder fly down there. I think he's got it. Yes, 256.11. The boy from New York takes the win as we check it out again with the Synergen Oil replay. Wheels up. That's an incredible run, Claude.
It is, and he was running straight and true until about the last 30 feet. He just about went out of bounds.
A 5-foot margin, buddy. Not much, but I want to say that you had to learn an awful lot about that starting line because it seemed like you left pretty nicely that time.
Well, I really struggled that time, to be honest with you. Yeah, I come out, the motors were just blubber and fuel. They weren't loading the motors, and we were really struggling to get out of there. The track is so hard, but finally we got out there about 100 foot, and things took off, and the chassis worked exactly the way it was supposed to, and we put 6 foot on them, so we're feeling really good about that, and it's a good way to start out the points race for this year's championship.
Back to business in just a moment as the workers continue to do some more preparation on the track. Right now, let's go once again to Brett Kepner with our Valco of Cincinnati Tech Tip. Valco with a wide selection of products available at local truck stops.
Anybody involved with off-roading knows indeed that dirt and aluminum do not mix. Now, the corrosion problem that the pullers involve themselves with all these highly polished parts, are pretty unique to the sport. As an example, the outer boundary lines in the sport of pulling are actually marked with lime. You get lime all over aluminum, and you've got a serious corrosion problem. Now, of course, that's not just limited to the pulling vehicles. On your street machine, you'll find a lot of aluminum surfaces that indeed have the same problem. But you can polish it to death and still find out that it doesn't look as good as you originally thought it would. Why? simply because a lot of people don't bother prepping that metal before they actually begin polishing. Now, as an example, the folks from Magic Mix have created a mild acidic metal preparation product that indeed will help you get the metal back to its original form before you begin polishing it. Now, this will work on just about any aluminum surface, including things like your trailer floor, that indeed can be prepped before you add all kinds of cleaners to make it look as good as you knew it would. Once you get the metal prepped, however, then you can add a good polish, and that's where you get a gleam like that.
And here's the way the 7200 Super Modified shakes out for today. Coming up next will be the 6,200-pound Super Modified four-wheel drives. Welcome back to Rotary Park in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee. As they remove some weight from the sled, we're getting ready for the four-wheel drive class. Tom, what is that about?
Well, the Super Modified four-wheel drive. This is the only time this year on the Jasper Pulling Series that you folks are going to get to see this incredible class. They're four-wheel drive trucks like what you usually see on the Jasper Pulling Series, except they're running superchargers, like what the two-wheel drives run. Listen to them now.
And this is Michael Jackson, and guess what? He calls his truck Thriller. 277 feet.
As we check out the Synergen oil replay, Mike Jackson laid down a heck of a run. And something else interesting to note, Ford body, Chevy motors, Claude.
Well, you just talked it over with the crew, and I don't even know the numbers yet, but I guess you're going to stick with it.
I'm going to stick with it. It felt pretty good. There's a lot of good stuff back there, but we'll see who can keep it.
Gary Kempton coming up next in Blue Thunder.
Another one of those tough Buckeye trucks. The Ohio State tractor pullers have been running this four-wheel drive Super Modified class since 1989, and they have about 40 hooks a year. Now, they're coming down south to where on the Jasper Pulling Series, we've run this class a few times as well. And this guy is on kill, but he just can't get it. Gary Kempton's going to fall short at 254.
And with that, it's time now for the Best Appearing Award, brought to you by Synergen Racing Oil, the world's fastest oil. And now with this week's winner, here's Brett Kepner.
You know, at every single one of the Jasper Racing Engine Series events, the Synergen Oil Company presents what they call their Best Appearing Vehicle Award, and it goes to, quite simply, the most outstanding visual impression made by any single entry. Need I say more? The McConnell family's Alabama-based 1996 Chevrolet four-wheel drive supercharged machine called Yellow Fever is just about the slickest four-wheeler we've seen in a long time. Now, what makes this machine so unusual is the fact that it's competing in a rather unusual class. As we already pointed out on the show, these supercharged four-wheel drive machines are a very rare breed. There aren't that many of them in the country. But one thing's for sure, this team makes sure that wherever they do manage to attend an event, that this thing burns the people's eyeballs out.
Well, Tom, we'll see now if Randy McConnell's Yellow Fever can pull as good as it looks.
Well, right now we've got a truck from Ohio in the lead. Let's see if this Alabama native can take the trophy back to Dixie, as they say here at the Volunteer Nationals. McConnell's tried so hard, not going to do it. 261 and 5.
And coming up next is Junior Brown out of Waverly, Tennessee, and this is a 1987 Chevy truck.
Now, Junior Brown is a modified four-wheel drive. He does not have a supercharger on this truck. He's trying to run against the blower boys just to see how it'll do, rocking around and bouncing, not having a good pull.
244 feet, and on the beginning, about 15 feet out, he lost a lot of traction and a lot of bouncing around there.
Coming up next is Mike Larabee. Now, Mike is out of Crestline, Ohio. He is currently number 2 with the Ohio State Tractor Puller Association points, and he is the vice president of that fine organization. So let's see if Larabee can beat some guy that he pulls with every weekend up in Ohio, Mike Jackson. He's getting close down there. Not going to do it. 254 and 1 for the Shameless.
So the distance to beat so far still remains Michael Jackson at 277 feet.
Well, here comes another Alabama native driving the trouble truck. This is Marty Dewberry. He knows these southern tracks, and that could definitely be an advantage. Right now, the guys from Ohio are looking good. Yep, the guys from Ohio are still going to keep the lead here. 261 and 3 for Marty Dewberry. On the line now is Jim Lyons. He's out of Louisville, Kentucky. This, Claude, is another one of those naturally aspirated trucks trying to run against the blowers.
Jim Lyons making a good run of it. Pretty straight, pretty true, and looks like he will almost go the distance. Does he? 256 and 8. Not quite enough. Stay with us here on Speed Vision. More four-wheel action when we come back. Welcome back to Rotary Park in Lawrenceburg. Yep, we told you these trucks are pretty loud. Little gentleman there protecting his hearing. This will be Ryan Reitzel, only 21 years old, but he's already been pulling, Tom, for 4 years.
That's right. He's like almost a veteran. And in fact, he is currently third in the Ohio State Tractor Pullers Association points as we speak. He's got a heck of a run going out here.
Pretty straight, pretty true. Looks like he had some pretty good traction, but only 264 feet. Not quite enough.
Well, you just saw Ryan Reitzel. Now let's look at the father, Jeff Reitzel. This guy farms a little bit, like 2,500 acres of corn and soybeans. It's amazing that he even has time to pull his truck.
Whoa, so Jeff says, here, son, this is how it's done. Let's see how the teacher did. A little bit better, 271 feet. And that means our winner is Mike Jackson with the Thriller.
And what a birthday present, huh?
Oh, that's great. Couldn't be any better. Perfect day. Great day. That's great.
Now, obviously, to start things off the season this way, I mean, from a points position, this is fantastic news, too.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Couldn't be any better. It's great. It's just great. I don't know how to describe it.
Well, as can be seen, the Ohio trucks basically dominated the super modified four-wheel drive truck class.
And that brings us to the Best Engineered Award, brought to you by Jasper, the nation's leader in remanufactured engines and transmissions. And once again, here's Brett Kepner.
Well, Claude, at each and every one of the Jasper Racing Engine Series polls, we also have a chance to take a look at some of the best equipment that shows up on any given event. And in accordance, Jasper Racing Engines presents their Best Engineered of the Event award. It, of course, goes to the machine that impresses the technical officials, and for that matter, the fans, just about above and beyond any other vehicle. What a way to start off our series this year. Take a look at the first ever 1998 New Holland Ford 8260 tractor campaigned by the Wilhite brothers out of Kentucky. Now, this machine, along with having the first ever brand new stock 98 Ford bodywork that we've seen, has so many different tricks on it, it's hard to count, starting with the I-beam aluminum frame. That is indeed one of the straightest and cleanest we've ever seen. Now, this machine includes 3 turbochargers on an engine that is somewhere around the class limit of 504 cubic inches. But the Wilhite brothers really wouldn't go too far in telling us exactly what's underneath this. How big is the engine in this thing?
Well, it's around 454 cubic inches.
Now, that's substantially less than the class limit.
Yes, it is.
But you're not required to actually say how big the engine is during competition.
You're right.
So you can pretty much tell me anything, and I'll fall for it.
Yeah.
Now, of all the trick pieces, there's so much billet on this thing and all kinds of slick pieces. What's your favorite little trick piece on this tractor?
The motor.
Well, okay, I'll ask you for the little trick piece.
I kind of like the seat.
What's unusual about it?
Comfortable.
Well, that's true. It's probably the most comfortable looking tractor seat I've ever seen.
Oh, it makes sure it keeps me in it.
What other little tricks earned this machine this award? Well, how about the twin fuel pump sensors that help the 3 turbochargers determine just how much fuel this machine needs at any given point in the course? Or if you come up into the cockpit area, one of the many pieces of billet aluminum that indeed, in this case, serves as, I believe it's the clutch pedal. You come up here to the billet steering wheel disconnect system, kind of like a pro stock drag car, all the way to that trick seat that Tom was talking about that, yeah, it is pretty comfortable.
Well, don't get too comfortable there, Brett. There's more work to do yet, such as the 5700 Super Stock tractors. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Volunteer Nationals here on Speed Vision at Rotary Park, coming to you from Lawrenceburg, Tennessee. Claude Wood along with Tom McConnell. Tom, the 5700 Super Stocks are ready to go.
That's right. We also call these tractors the lightweight super stock because they weigh about a ton less than the 7,700-pound tractor class that we saw earlier. Our first look at a woman driver this evening. She's doing a good job. Nish Herndon spins out there 2:15 and 5. That'll be the distance to beat.
And that brings up Larry Phillips out of Vine Grove, Kentucky. His tractor is called Insanity.
This guy just finished 4th at the National Farm Machinery Show this past February. That was the last time he's had this tractor out. He's in for a good run here. I think we're going to get us a new leader out of that. Look at it. It's bouncing around like a Bronco bull. 2:36 at 5, the new leader.
And both of these tractors so far, Tom, did not run straight and true at all. They were all over the place.
Yeah, this track is a little tricky, and these lightweight super stocks, they're known to get a little bit wild and rambunctious. Jay Fuquay spins out. Let's see what Brett Kepner has found in the pits.
You know, the super stock tractor classes reflect exactly that. Basically stock tractors, and indeed are one of the most popular attractions at any given Jasper Racing Engine's pull. And it's pretty easy to identify the contenders. Just like in regular automobile racing with Ford, Chevy, Chrysler all represented, the tractors all have their own brand loyalty out there in the stands, and it's easy to determine who's for what because the color coding in tractors is so easy. If you're watching a green tractor pull, 99.9% sure it's going to be a John Deere. If you're watching a red tractor, it's probably going to be an International. If you're watching a blue tractor, chalk one up for the Ford fans. And if you see the yellowish orangish machines, those are the very rare Alice Chalmers out there pulling. But when this particular machine pulled through the gates here at Lawrenceburg, Tennessee, I have to be honest with you, I had no idea what kind of machine was white.
Well, it's a case, full-blooded case. It's originally started out, rear end from the motor back is like an old 930 case that is about 20-year-old probably. And the motor is these late model, like a 2590 case, 180 horsepower late model case tractor. Last year they made them before International bought them out.
Okay, so the white tractor is the rare purebred case. Now, if that's not enough to make this tractor already stand out in a crowd, how about the driver? Okay, Brandy, obviously you grew up watching Dad pull, but how did you get in the driver's seat of this thing?
I just basically said I want to drive.
Now, at what age did you tell him that?
Well, this has been my first time.
This is your first event tonight?
Well, it's not my first event. I had an attempt a couple of weeks ago, and we changed some things on the tractor, and so hopefully this will be my first time to actually do some driving.
It's kind of interesting that Ricky did not bother putting that roll cage on until Daddy's little girl got behind the seat. But one thing's for sure, if we've seen any kind of progress over the last couple of years in all of motorsports, it's been with the second-generation racers. You have to wonder, with Brandy's knowledge of being around this sport as long as she has, if she's not just going to show up the old man first time out.
Thanks, Brett. And one thing we've seen so far from this sport is it's a sport for the whole family to enjoy.
Well, that's definitely true. Let's see what she can do on her first run down the track. Uh-oh, having trouble right from the get-go there. I don't think the turbochargers are going to light. I think that's going to be all she wrote there, Claude. Yeah, you can see Father Ricky saying, shut it down, Brandy.
That's enough. Settle for that 127 feet.
Personally, I thought you slipped the clutch beautifully to get it off the line. I thought it was probably one of the best launches of the round so far.
Well, yeah, I felt the boost come up and let out on the clutch. And, of course, I can't see the tires, and probably I don't have enough experience to know what it feels like when they break loose. And I couldn't tell the clutch was slipping, but clutch is slipping.
And, Tom, here's a guy that usually figures out every track and every situation. This is Leroy Mason.
Well, that's right. Leroy is going for 2 years in a row of winning the 5,700-pound super stock Jasper points. Let's see if he can do it. He is flying out here. He is going to be the guy to beat. It looks like we've got us a new leader, 273.9, just surpassed Larry Phillips.
And the crowd sure appreciates that. Let's check in with Brett Kepner.
You are so incredible. If anybody wondered why you were a world champion, I mean, no one could get off the starting line. No one could get down the track. What do you know that everybody doesn't?
It's just that starting line's different. You got a driver out of the hole. I think if there's a couple more back there that can do the same thing, but they're going to have to drive her off the start line.
And, Tom, a lot of these guys, preparation is really the key to it. You'll see them out there hours before the pull begins, checking out the track conditions.
Oh, definitely. And here's a guy that I think Leroy was kind of hitting at that could very well do it. Ken Mckellip out of Wabash, Indiana. His front end is up. He is flying with that Alice Chalmers. Something is wrong. Shuts down at 2:41 and 2. Going to put him in second place, though, Claude.
And that will bring up Doug Horrell from Benson's, Indiana.
He was your 1997 National Farm Machinery Show champion with this 686 International. Problems under the hood.
Major problems for Doug, only 91 feet. He will not be back. But you will. Stay with us right here on Speed Vision. Welcome back to Rotary Park in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee, the American Tractor Pullers Association. Tom, this is Shirley Haney.
Shirley Haney is a big-time cotton farmer down in Athens, Alabama. Oh, Shirley having turbocharger problems right there. Not going to get where he wanted to. Only 149 feet and change.
And that will set the stage for Tommy Williamson on Night Rambler.
Well, the Night Rambler team has had a lot of problems getting the bugs worked out of this machine, but the tires are turning tonight, Claude. Oh, he is already smiling. He has got that tractor moving.
And he's moving all over the track, but he went 204 feet. As we take a look now from our Synergen Oil replay.
Look, and he had a wild ride there. Looks like he got some fuel going out on the track, but I know Tommy Williamson well enough to know he is smiling on that run. He's happy.
This will bring up Lewis Perry driving Chalmers.
And when Lewis isn't busy pulling this tractor, he is selling a lot of real estate in that area. He is a big-time real estate man and having problems with the AC here tonight. 128-2. Not the run that he wanted. As we look at another Alice Chalmers, Logan Kemper out of Worthville, Kentucky, going with the alcohol. Now, alcohol's in the lead right now there, Claude, with Leroy Mason.
And this is lean old Alice. There's a lot of history behind this tractor.
Oh, definitely. In fact, this tractor used to be owned by a guy we'll see out here in a little bit, Jeff Hurt. And Bill used to own this machine. The Kempers stop it at 200 feet, not where they want it to be.
Yeah, that's well short of Leroy Mason's 273 feet.
Well, Fred Roach is on the line. Fred has been doing the sport of pulling for many, many, many years with the little blue New Holland. Of course, it's a Ford 7910 underneath. Having a good run there, Claude.
A little slow on the beginning, but looks like he found some extra traction. He has got a chance if he doesn't go out of bounds. But out of bounds he goes as his tire touches the white line. A definite no-no.
Well, here comes last year's Rookie of the Year, Chris Blacken out of Dry Ridge, Kentucky with the frog hammer. Uh-oh.
Oh, up in smoke.
Yeah, having problems. Looks like the exhaust pipe just came off of the tractor. It's nothing major, but I don't know if they'll have time to get it repaired.
Well, to find out exactly what happened, let's go to the Synergen Oil replay, Tom.
Well, check out the exhaust pipe on the tractor. It just comes loose. It built so much pressure up, the exhaust pipe said, hey, I don't want to stay on the tractor with all this smoke.
And there was a lot of pressure as you saw the pipe go all over the place. This is Jeff Hurt.
Oh, man, and Jeff Hurt's living up to his last name as he hurts the tractor, to say the least. We got a fire under the hood there, and Jeff jumps out to help put it out. Let's check that out again with the Synergen Oil replay, making a lot of tire speed out of the hole, and boom! It belches on him right there, Claude.
Right, Tom. The last one went up in smoke. This one went up in flames.
That's right, and I'll tell you, this is a real interesting view to check out the tractor. You can see it toasting the inside of the motor. Well, the class ends. Leroy Mason wins the first pull of the year. The AC of Mckellip finished second. And coming up next on Speed Vision, super modified two-wheel action.
Welcome back to the Volunteer Nationals in Rotary Park, which is in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee. Claude Wood along with Tom McConnell. We're glad you joined us right here on Speed Vision. Now, this is Jim Lyons in Stitches.
Well, Jim is the first puller in the class, and he will have the option to keep this pull or to drop it. But I'll tell you, it looks like the sled is set awfully, awfully heavy there. Only 232 feet. I wonder, Claude, if they're going to reset the sled.
They probably will. While they think about that, here comes Rich Satterfield in the Valco machine.
Well, we just got the word they did reset the sled, so this is actually the first puller in the class. So Rich Satterfield will have the option to keep this puller dropping, and Jim Lyons will come back later. So the man to beat is 273-9, the Valco truck of Rich Satterfield.
Representing Paris, Illinois, here's Don Finney.
Don Finney's on the line now with the up and gone two-wheel drive truck. This thing is neat now. Watching, because Mr. Finney usually gets the front end pretty high up. There it goes. Not as high as it usually does, but Don's having a good attempt at it. 259 and change.
I think Don took a different strategy here. Keep low, close to the ground, and he had a lot of traction built up. This will bring up Paul Sullivan. And Tom, not only is Paul only 17 years old, this is his first pull.
Well, his grandfather, Wayne Sullivan, has got to be proud of him. Wayne owns this truck, and he's putting his grandson in it, and Paul has taken over the lead at 279 and 3. Looks like Jeff McPherson will be up next. Right now, Brett Kepner is talking to Paul Sullivan.
Ladies and gentlemen, on one of the trickiest tracks we have ever seen on the ATPA circuit, you are looking, as the helmet comes off, at a young man who had never driven anything down a pulling track, and you just took over the lead on, like I said, one of the most difficult courses we've ever seen.
Well, it was a pretty good run. First time I ever drove. It was pretty cool. Had a lot of fun.
I guess you did. And I should point out that while everybody else is out there feathering to get off that tricky starting line and everything else, I firmly believe that planting your right foot pretty much gave you the lead.
Yeah, it helped a lot. I had to hit the brake a little bit. Yeah, that's just a little bit, though. It made a pretty good run, though.
If this holds, this is going to be one heck of a story. Congratulations. Unbelievable first ride.
Can you imagine, Tom? That's great. When he goes back to school tomorrow morning and the guys ask him, what'd you do this weekend?
He can say, I won a truck full. That is, of course, if Jeff McPherson and the rest of the guys don't get him. Jeff is running last year's Missouri Raiders motor. Let's see what that does to the Bean Bandit this year. I think he beat Paul Sullivan. Yes! McPherson takes over the lead, 291 and 1.
So right now we'll stand behind a proud dad, Dick McPherson, as he watches the run on our Synergen Oil replay. Right now, let's go down to Brett Kepner.
Now, you can't kid me. I think that surprised even you.
It made a good run. I was really pleased with how our T-bucket hooked up. This is a really strange track. The starting line's hard. The finish line's soft. We didn't know what setup to do, so I just really ended up kind of doing what we normally do. And
well, I would think chassis really doesn't have that much to do with it because it's so much driver technique, at least getting off the line.
Yeah, I think one of the big things that helped us, our trucks have Hayes clutches, and what that means, we have a pedal where we can slip the clutch coming off the starting line.
As opposed to the centrifugal clutch.
Right, where when an engine reaches a certain RPM, it locks up. I think maybe that's going to help us. You never know. I'm happy with the run. If I had to do it again, I'd do the same thing.
You know what you just told me? You just told me that because of the foot pedal, it really was the driver.
Yeah. Dad gave me the thumbs up, so that's usually a good sign.
This will bring up Jim Lyons driving Stitches. Jim is out of Louisville, Kentucky.
Now, we saw Jim earlier, the first run in the two-wheel drive class. We thought the sled was too heavy, so we reset the sled and lightened it up. So this will be his official run. Let's see where he spins out at. Making a good run. Not going to catch McPherson, though. 264.2.
And take a look at Jerry Harton's Willy's Jeep. I like the looks of this one, Tom.
Oh, that's a unique-looking machine. It's sponsored by the National Scouting Museum. That's a really unique sponsor. And Jerry's making a really, well, it's a slow run, but he's starting to get down the track. This is a tricky track, and it's not how fast you go and pull it. It's how far you do it. Just gets a 222 and a 10.
He had a rough start in the beginning, but looks like he finally got a little bit of a hook on the track and was able to continue. This sets the stage now for John Cox.
The truck was formerly owned by two-time TNT champion Mike Stowe out of Georgia. John Cox out of Alabama just recently bought the truck, and he's making a good run with it.
And his truck, the Bad Dog, spelled D-A-W-G. That, of course, after the Georgia Bulldogs. 268 feet for John Cox.
Well, on the line now is Steve Grouse. The Young Gun truck was formerly owned by the Sullivan family, who is currently in second place. Let's see if Mr. Grouse can do it with the Young Gun. He's got a good straight run, Claude. He's got a lot of speed.
And showing a lot of power, a lot of good traction there. What will it be? 264 again for Steve Grouse.
Well, the intensity gets hotter as more two-wheel drive super modified action continues on Speed Vision.
Some of the fans cooling off with a little water refreshment here at Rotary Park in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee. And we're glad you joined us right here on Speed Vision for the American Tractor Pullers Association. And this part of the program brought to you by Jasper, the nation's leader in remanufactured engines and transmissions. And by Synergen, the world's fastest oil. And by Valco of Cincinnati, with a wide selection of products available at local truck stops. Available to us right now, Russell Korf, the Gambler.
Well, Russell has toured this winter with the Outlaws organization out in the western part of the United States. Had a good winter. See if he'll have a good summer here. The Gambler's making a good run. Oh, right there, Claude. Not going to take over the lead, but an impressive attempt at it.
Close, but not close enough at 263 feet. Paul Ramey up now in the red alert.
This is a former 5-time East Tennessee Tractor Pullers Association champion in the two-wheel drive category. Let's see if he can win the Volunteer Nationals here in his home state. He is going to be close. That Hibby is Holland. Not going to do it. 266-9.
And that'll make way for T.J. Tatum, who, by the way, has a 17-year-old sister that will be driving later in the season, Tom.
That's right. Now, this is unique. You see a lot of the Ford T-Buckets. This is not one of them. This is actually a Chevrolet Roadster. He wants to specify that he's 100% bow-tie man. Good run for him. Going to spin out, though, at 256-6. Look at all the red clay around those tires. It was hooking him hard. Darrell Varner on the line now with the rare breed. This is your defending ATPA Jasper Points champion, Claude.
And he has a pretty good run going so far. Pretty straight, pretty true. Front end up just a little bit as he goes to the right part of the track, 270 feet.
That nobody seems to be able to touch Jeff McPherson, still out there at the lead at 291-1. This might be the guy to do it. Jimmy Mattingly, he won the Jasper Finals last year in Georgetown, Ohio.
And he says he's got some revenge with Jamie's revenge right at the end. Oh, 278 feet and 1 inch. And here comes the Missouri Raider. This one driven by Dick McPherson. And Tom, a father and son team are really vying for points and position here tonight.
Oh, that's definitely the case. And in fact, Jeff is leading the class, his son, so it might be interesting to see who gets the bragging rights in the McPherson family. It looks like the bragging rights are going to go to son because the son is still in the lead.
And here comes Jim Mattingly driving high roller. Now, we saw him just a few minutes ago in the program driving Jamie's Revenge.
Well, he's got a good chance of winning this thing. Jimmy Mattingly is one of the toughest pullers in the world, if it's going to come down to it. Not going to do it tonight, though. 285-1. And speaking of one, the last truck of the evening, Danny Sullivan from Warsaw, Kentucky, trying oh so hard to beat Jeff McPherson. 291-1 is what he's got to do. Can he do it?
This is Thumper. Thumper's had a little bit of a problem so far, but he looks like he's got a chance here. Oh, 270 feet, not enough.
No, the Boomers barbecued machine just couldn't quite do it, but the Sullivan clan does finish fourth with their other team member, the Kentucky, and of course first going to Jeff McPherson.
And that will wrap up this week's pulling action, but join us next Friday, 8 p.m. right here on Speed Vision, Wabash, Indiana, for more ATPA action.
We'll see two-wheel drive trucks, and in the tractor class, can Leroy do it again? Find out next Friday night, 8 o'clock, when we go to Wabash.
So, for Brett Kepner and Tom McConnell, Claude Wood, so long, everyone.